Okay, thank you for joining this Megaport Tech Topic session. Let's begin. My name is Paul McGuinness. I'm Head of Solutions for Europe at Megaport, and I lead up a solution architect team. I'm based out of the London office. And yeah, I'm going to take you through this session today. I'm just going to do a level setter and a little bit of a Megaport overview, and then I'm going to today talk about Megaport ports and some of the options that you have around ports. So we'll discuss different ways of provisioning Megaport ports, the capacities of those, types of resilient deployments that you can have, including lagging, diversity zones, being able to provision in separate data centers, being able to order cross connects. And we'll do a live demo as well at the end to show you how to order these ports and what they look like in the portal when you choose the different options. So basically just a level setter, Megaport is offering network as a service. So you are provisioning services by yourself through a portal. It's all on demand, private connectivity. You can do connectivity to cloud, to other parties on the Megaport network. You can host virtual solutions on the network as well, including virtual firewalls, SD-WAN solutions, and also virtual routing as well. You don't have to sign up to a term if you don't want to. You can just keep your services on no term. There are some discounts if you sign up for a 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year. And then we have an ecosystem that I'll talk about a little bit later. But everything is designed to be nice and simple, easy to use. It's all in your hands, under your control through the portal, like I said, or if you want to use automation, you can use Megaport APIs or Terraform as well if you want to do infrastructure as code. So Megaport is deployed in hundreds of data centers around the world, and we own and operate the network ourselves. So we are looking after our network. It's not anyone else's. It's our own automation layers on top as well. And we just deploy in data center locations. So we are in over 100 different data center operators, facilities around the world. So that means that customers have a choice of which DC providers they go to and go through to reach Megaport. As you can see, this is just kind of a representation of some of the locations that we have. And many of the large cities that we're deployed in will have many different sites. We could have 10 to 20 sites in some of the major cities that we have put a Megaport presence into a data center location. And then we've got a global wide area network connecting all of these regions together as well, so that you can set up your facilities through the Megaport portal in different regions around the world, and then use Megaport Global WAN to connect those together. So we can address, hopefully, quite a large percentage of your connectivity needs, including connectivity to cloud and multi-cloud, data center connectivity, data center interconnects. I think I had this on the next slide. So like I said, yeah, data center to cloud and multi-cloud, being able to connect one cloud to another cloud, being able to connect two data centers together, and then also to allow you to deploy the virtual elements that you need. So if you need network function virtualization, you can have that on a device. So basically, we will host your virtual device that you deploy on top of our network. So what is that virtual device? Well, that could be a firewall from Palo Alto, Cisco, or Fortinet. It could be a virtual routing device from 6Wind or Cisco, for example. It could be an SD-WAN device from Cisco Meraki, Cisco Viptela. It could be VMware, Fortinet, Palo Alto Prisma, etc. There's lots of different solutions, and we would just look after that device and do all of the hosting for it in any location around the world where we have that hosting capability, and you would control the overlay or the SD-WAN, the virtual routing, or the firewall aspect on top. We also own and operate internet exchanges, and we offer Megaport Internet as well, which is not shown on this diagram. So to connect to Megaport, there's a couple of different options. If you're going from outside the network to in, you can meet us in a data center. So you would just order the port. Immediately, we'll give you an LOA, and this is what we're going to look at today. You'll see it in the demo. And then you can order a cross connect through the data center, or Megaport will order that for you. And once that cross connect is in place, this port is then able to connect to anything on the Megaport network that is publicly available to you. So that means you can connect to any of the hyperscalers that we have in any location around the world. So if you spin up a port in Frankfurt, you can connect to a hyperscaler in Japan. You can connect to Microsoft Azure in Japan if you want to, or AWS in Sydney. It's all up to you and under your control. The other way to connect into Megaport is through the internet. So you can have branch locations, for example, running SD-WAN branch sites at the edge, and then they can connect in through an internet connection, reaching the Megaport network across the internet. Those are the main two ways, but of course there are ways to use Megaport services without actually connecting into the network. So for example, if you wanted to connect one cloud to another cloud, maybe you've got database services inside Oracle and you have workloads inside Google Cloud. You can configure a Megaport virtual routing device and then connect those together immediately up to high data rates of 10 gig and even going up to 100 gigabits per second. Okay, so for the topic today, we're going to talk about Megaport port deployment options. So let's look at the different ways that you can deploy physical ports in a data center with Megaport. So these ports are offering you private connectivity. Quite typically, we've deployed in so many data centers, you may find that we are in the same data center as you, and that is a nice ideal situation. It does beg the question, what happens if you find yourself in a data center that's not the same as a Megaport DC? Well, there's a few options there available to you. You could look to your DC provider to maybe patch you into another DC data center in that metro where Megaport is already in place, and it's just another data center operated by the same DC operator. You could get campus cross connects, you can get last mile circuits, or you can connect across the internet as well. You can deploy this as well in any of the locations around the world, like we looked at on the map earlier. And all of these connections are basically just layer 2 connections through these physical ports, and you can have up to 100 connections on each of these ports as well. It's up to you how many of those that you provision. We do offer layer 3 services as well, but the ports are just offering a layer 2 connection. The data rates that you can have are 10 gigabits per second or 100 gigabits per second throughput, and you can oversubscribe on these ports as well. So it's entirely flexible and it's under your control what the connections do look like and what you provision. Now in this diagram on the right, we're just showing a single port in a single data center, and we're just showing it connecting to 4 clouds. It could go and connect to another location. So if you had another port in another location, it could connect to the Megaport ecosystem, into the Megaport marketplace. It could connect into IX. It can connect to internet. We're not showing all of those options on here because there's so many of them. But basically here at the bottom, we've got the physical port. This is where your equipment would be. You can order a cross connect between your equipment and the port based on the LOA that we provide after provisioning, or Megaport can order that for you in quite a few data centers around the world. The piece at the top of the port, this is all virtual and this is all automated through the Megaport portal. So you can make these connections to the clouds immediately. So all of these connections to the hyperscalers already exist, and you're just creating a virtual connection from the port across to the cloud providers. Now, this particular solution that we're showing here is not redundant because it has a single point of failure in this port in a single data center, and it has single connections to the cloud. So let's look at another option. So you can add a lag or a link aggregation group to the port, so basically creating multiple ports in a single data center. and then creating multiple cross connects to those ports. And we support link aggregation groups for 10 gig link aggregation groups and also 100 gig link aggregation groups. And that will get you higher capacity. So you'll have all of the capacity for, if you add up the capacity of all of the interfaces inside the lag, then that's what will be available to you. And it gives you some resilience inside the data center. So it's protecting you against cross-connect failure and also port failure. So if you had a port failure, cross-connect failure, laser issues, you would lose that individual port, but you would not lose the link aggregation group. You would still be up and operating, but with lesser capacity. Okay, but this option is still through a single data center. So we don't get too many people just providing or provisioning a solution like this. So let's look at something more resilient, and this is definitely more popular, and this is where they're using Megaport's port diversity inside data centers. And this is in quite a few DCs that we have today. And this is where Megaport has designated a blue and a red zone inside data centers. Well, it's called orange zones here, but it's red zone inside the portal. And basically, you choose your port to be in one or the other of those zones, and you can make ports diverse from each other. So what does this mean? Well, it means that these ports will not come under the same maintenance schedule. They've all got redundant power anyway. They'll have separate networking. They'll be on separate devices. They'll leave the data center on separate paths, etc. Okay, so you can use multi-port lag as well on each of these zones if you want to. But having these two ports, it gives you higher capacity. You can use the full capacity of both ports in blue and red. But you do have to consider that this is still inside a single data center. But for many of our customers, this solution is perfectly adequate because that customer has decided to deploy all of their resources inside a single DC, and they just want resilience inside that data center. And as you can see here, there's examples of connecting to cloud. So you're duplicating the connections from, one zone across to the other zone. So you could lose basically either port or any of the virtual connections off that port, or the cross connect or the lasers, and you would still be up and running. So then if we take that one step further and we look at creating ports in separate data centers, we can see we'll come up with a solution like this. And this is highly resilient, and it is a very popular deployment from our customers. So you're taking single ports in separate data centers. Now, if you wanted, you could also lag these ports in each of the separate data centers, and you could take advantage of the port diversity. So in the data center on the left, you could have blue and red ports. On the data center on the right, you could have blue and red ports as well. So this is a really nice solution that allows you a lot of resilience inside your solution. And then, of course, you could layer on top of this some virtual devices, some Megaport routing as well, if you wanted to do that, some firewalling, if you want to augment this type of solution. So before I go into the demo, I just wanted to highlight something new that is fairly new. It's the addition of being able to order DC cross connects through the Megaport portal. So we have this available in 165 data centers, and we're adding more all of the time. And this is where customers are able to order cross connects as long as they're on a 12-month term or longer. They can do that through the portal. They just click yes and then add those. So let's go in and do a demo, and let's see what it looks like. So we are in the Megaport portal, and we have a view here of the global network that we have. We've got various different services. This is a live portal that we have that's used for a lot of Megaport demos. And let's just zoom in to a data center in London. So if we just zoom into Digital Realty, and we're going in here to LUN2, and let's just zoom out a little bit here. And we can see with lots of data centers in the London region, all of these black tags. This one is blue already because it has some services deployed inside. But what we're going to do is we're going to go and create a port in this digital realty side, or we're going to create a pair of ports. So what we have to do that is to select the speed that we want. So we can go 1 gig, 10 gig, or 100 gig. Let's just create a 100 gig port, and we're going to just call, we can give it a name up here if we want. And then we can see that we can add a reference. That can be any free text that you would like to add. You can then add a term that you want. So going from a basically 1 month rolling term to a 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year. There's an option here to automatically renew that at the end. You can take or untick that option. And then I can order a cross connect if I want to inside this data center. So you can see the minimum term here would be 12 months for that. You can see the one-time fee and the monthly rate as well. Now, I'm not going to order a cross connect because we're in a demo. I don't want to kick off a cross connect process because that would happen if I ordered the service. But what I can do here is I can create a diverse pair of ports. So if I already had one port that was existing and I wanted to create a second port which was diverse from it, I could select to create a diverse from existing port, and it would allow me to choose the first port that is live, and then it would create one in the opposite zone to that. But here I'm just creating a brand new pair of ports. So I'm going to select create diverse pair. I just have to give it a name. So I'll get the second one, port 2. And then we can see the lag option here at the bottom as well. So if I wanted to double up on those ports, I could lag those together. But we're going to create a lag port separately in just a few minutes. So there we go. That's all we have to do to create those. We can now see the port 1 is red. Port 2 is in fact blue. We didn't order cross connect. We didn't turn on LACP at the moment. We can see the term discounts and all of the T's and C's there. So we can add the port. These two ports, they've now gone into my shopping cart here on the left. I haven't ordered them yet. Let's just go ahead, review order, and push those. So we're going to go order now. So that goes through order, and we'll look at those in just a second. Let's go, and we're going to the services area, and I just want to create another port. And this time we're going to create a lag port. Again, do this in London. Let's just create one in Equinix LD5 in Slough. Port speed this time to be a 10 gig port. And we'll call this lag. There we go. And then we've got the usual terms here. We've got the cross connect option. We've got the diversity option. But in this example, we're just going to enable lags so that we see what that looks like. So we can actually combine up to 8 ports in a link aggregation group. And like I said before, this can be a 10 gig or a 100 gig lag. So here, let's just combine 3 ports together. So we can create a 3-port lag, giving us 30 gig. So again, we get the summary for that. We create the lag, and it drops that into the shopping cart over here on the left-hand side. We can review that order, and then we can order now. So again, this is, like I said before, live provisioning of services. And I'm just going to filter out the services based on the tag that I gave them all here. So now we can see that these are now going through provisioning. So if I scroll down and look at what we've ordered first here, we've ordered the 2 ports in 2 separate diversity zones. So these are 100 gig ports. So port 1 was red, port 2 is blue. And then when a new port comes up, we show you the tiles here of some of the things that you can connect into these ports. Okay, you can also go plus connection here if you want to create a connection to the ports. So cloud gets you into all of the different cloud providers that we have, the hyperscalers, different options there. Wasabi, for example. A private VXC is connecting you to any other location that you have on the Megaport network. So any other port, virtual router, virtual edge, etc. You can add Megaport Internet to that. We can allocate IP address blocks to you. We can BGP peer with you on that as well. Internet exchanges for those who want to reach an internet exchange. Megaport Marketplace, where our partners and customers make their ports available so that you can build an ecosystem together. Now, you can do that privately without going on the marketplace, or you can create a public ecosystem as well. And then finally, yeah, the service key is where you connect privately to other people on the Megaport network so that you can have that private interconnectivity anywhere in the globe, all under you and your partner's control or your end customer indeed. So those are some of the options. And if we go back to the services again, we can see that, yeah, like we said, we've got these two ports, the red and the blue. We can see the LOA just popped up for this one in the red. We'll see the blue one coming shortly as well. And then if we just look at how that's different to the lagged ports, we can see if you compare the two, you can see that the lag port has got, you know, a lead lag port, and then it has the other ports chained off that. So that's kind of denoting that it's lag, and it says at the top that it's link aggregation group. It shows you the 30 gigabits per second allocated to that as well. And it shows you that that lag is actually in diversity zone blue. Okay. So again, you can just add connections to that lag like you can with the other ports as well. So scrolling back down, we can see that the LOAs have been allocated to port 1 and port 2 here. So if we go in, we can download an LOA, and there you can see the LOA issue date, who it's issued by, and then the location for that, right down to the port numbers and the termination type as well. So, you know, we're here to help you as well. We've got a support team who can help you with any cross-connect issues that you have. We can also check the light levels on these ports. So you can go into the details of the device. You can check that the transmit and receive are as you expect within the ports, so that you've got them at good levels for long-term operation of the actual port. And now scrolling up, we can see that we've got the LOAs for the three ports that are in the link aggregation group as well. Like I said, you could combine these if you wanted to do, you know, diverse ports like here at the bottom, but also have a lagged second port in each of those, then that is an option as well. So, you know, all of this is nice and simple. It's nice and straightforward. Once you get the cross connects in place, you are multi-cloud enabled and you're ready to go for that connectivity. But hopefully you find this useful and a nice straightforward overview of Megaport services to do with port options on Megaport ports. Please do get in touch if you want to reach out to me. That will be interesting. My connection details are on this slide here. Thank you for joining, and see you on the next Tech Drop-In session.